So, Beth, how are you this week?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you, Neil?
I'm very well, thank you. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about how much we follow the news.
Ah, the news. Okay, so what do we mean by follow the news?
So when we say follow the news, it means that you are interested in the news. So you might read it on your phone, listen to it on the radio, or watch it on TV quite regularly.
Yes, and you can also follow sports, can't you? So if you like a particular, for example, football team, you might check your phone a lot to find out the score, to follow and see how they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So, Neil, do you follow the news?
Yes, I think it's difficult not to follow the news. First thing in the morning, I look on my phone to see if anything big has happened overnight. And then I check a lot during the day just to see what's happening. So I do follow news. How about you?
Yes, I'm the same. So I get notifications on my phone throughout the day. But sometimes I find that that's a little bit too much. Sometimes you need a break when you're working and you don't want to see the news all the time. And my phone does notify me a lot about the news.
Yeah, I think you can have too much news and it can be not very good for you to read lots of usually quite bad news.
Yes, definitely. So why do you like to follow the news even though it can be too sad?
That's a very good question. I think it's a bit of a habit. It's a bit addictive. And I think we sometimes feel like we need to know what's happening, even if we have actually no control over what is happening.
Yeah, I completely agree because even though I get notifications and I read the news, I sometimes feel like I still don't know enough about what's going on because there's so much information out there and so many different ways to get the news that it's not enough to just read one article. There's so much information that you want to understand.
So, Beth, we work at the BBC.
We do.
It's a news organisation. Have your news habits changed since you started working at the BBC?
Yes, I think they definitely have. I think I probably pay more attention to the news now than I did in the past. And for example, I already knew some information about certain topics, but now I want to learn even more. So I try to pay more attention to things that maybe I wasn't as interested in the past. What about you? Does working at the BBC mean you pay more attention to the news?
Well, I used to be a journalist at the BBC, so probably I used to pay more attention or follow the news more than I do now, because now I make these programs about English.
Maybe it's good that you don't follow the news as much as you did, because it's not always good.
It's not. It's often bad news. Okay, let's recap the vocabulary we learned during the conversation.
We had follow the news, which means to be interested in the news.
We used to, and to means more than is needed of something. So, I watch too much news.
We also had enough, which means as much as is needed of something. So, if you think you watch enough news, you don't need more and you don't need less.
And we've had already, which means before now.
Yes, I said that before I worked at the BBC, I already followed quite a bit of news. Thank you for listening. See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for watching and remember to subscribe.